Okay, so it's been a while since I'd done a newspaper review. I was actually going to discuss a particular article in this newspaper, but I thought I may as well just do a generic review to continue the trend that I've been doing. And I'm going to talk about New Day. This is the United Kingdom's latest newspaper and the first new newspaper since the Eye was released in 2010. This was released in February last month. So it's brand new. This is only issue number 17. A little bit of the statistics. This is part of the Trinity Mirror Group. Although it's the first standalone title, that is the first brand new title since The Independent in 1986, whereas The Eye was sort of a subsidiary of The Independent. The editor is Alison Phillips, and Edward, Simon Fox of the Trinity Mirror Group um, has said this is designed to fill the gap in the market that coexists the print press with the digital age. That's sort of the range that he's looking for. Alison Phillips has said that she wants to avoid right wing leanings, although the paper is described as politically neutral. The market is also said to be catered towards middle aged women. I've bought it once or twice. It wouldn't quite be my ideal choice, although there is some formats I like about it. Um, I think it's quite domestic orientated, so most of the stories are about the UK. You can see the two front stories here. This is about a police officer who was murdered on Prince Harry. There is some formats I like about it. Also, another aspect of this newspaper is it's designed for people who don't read other newspapers, so it's not intended to take people away from readership of other newspapers. It's more for people who are not natural newspaper readers. Um, the style is, I would say, slightly more tabloid-esque than the Eye, but there's some similarities, for example, in the political neutrality. Um, I just want to talk about one article actually, and it's nothing really to do with my review of the newspaper, but it's just an article I think that really elaborates the point I'm making. This is an article about Reddit and Reddit culture, and in a way, I wish I'd uploaded the video I made about Reddit after reading this. It's a very good article, but depressing article. It's about the phenomenon that stiletto shoes have been used on around 150 occasions since 2003 as weapons by violent women. And there's some horrible stories here. Shows a guy there with blood streaming out of his eyes. Here's some of the reports. I'm just going to read them out briefly. Abby Van Heen of Runcorn, Cheshire, was given a 16-month prison sentence, suspended for 2 years for slashing a woman with her stiletto heel. Van Heen, 25, said she had no memory of the attack, but a court heard how she lashed out after a Good Samaritan asked if she was okay during the early hours of New Year's Eve last year on Bold Street in Liverpool city centre. The victim needed stitches for a 3 centimetre cut to her forehead. Father of one doorman, Graham Roach from Edinburgh, underwent hours of surgery which failed to save his left eye after a woman plunged her heel into his face. His attacker, Sarah Marsden, was jailed for 40 months. Mr. Roach, 28, said, "If her heel had been half an inch either way, it would have killed me. It was very painful and I spent 5 days in hospital." Jodie Modeste was jailed for 18 weeks after admitting attacking her victim in a case of mistaken identity. Modeste, 27, from Huddersfield, was staying over in Liverpool with friends when she got into an argument with another group of women inside a club. Her victim said in a statement, "She stabbed the stiletto heel into my left cheek, and I felt an instant throbbing pain and burning and saw blood." Julie Green, 46, who was jailed for 2.5 years at Liverpool Crown Court for wounding without intent. Liverpool isn't getting a very good press here. Um, and common assault. Green battered her defenceless victim as she carved on the floor before striking her with a stiletto heel in Southport, Merseyside. The victim was Amy Urquhart, the new partner of Green's ex-boyfriend. Green of Southport. I don't want to read out all the details of these personal things, but basically that gives you an idea of the sort of phenomenon that is out there. Now, 150 attacks in 13 years may not seem like a massive amount, but this is a particularly vicious way to attack someone, and the fact that these cowardly thugs seem to go for people's face, their eyes, is reprehensible, and I hope that is reflected in sentencing. The number of times that people have almost lost their eyesight is frankly sinister. But this, I am pleased that New Day has covered this because it demonstrates exactly what I was talking about in that video. So anyway, just wanted to make a brief reference to that. That is in today's New Day, and you can see there in the corner a victim of this. Incidentally, what I said in the video about sometimes being double standards with female thugs. Um, there is a report of um, in January, a student who stabbed a man in the eye with a Christian Louboutin shoe walked free from court. Shadia Omar, 22, of Whaley Range, Manchester, attacked Justin Lloyd, also 22, as they both waited for a taxi home. He offered the woman a crisp, but she knocked them out of his hand, so he attempted to pour them over her head. So this is a one-on-one dispute. Then her friend got involved and she reacted by rushing to her friend's aid and struck Mr. Lloyd in the eye with a designer shoe. He was treated in Manchester Royal Infirmary and later the Manchester Eye Hospital. He was left suffering with cuts, bruises, and bleeding to the lower lid, cuts to the upper lid, and fracture to the eye orbit. Um, and the number of male victims is quite striking. But these thugs don't discriminate. They also attack innocent women, and I really believe in a custodial sentence. But anyway, this video was predominantly about the New Day, so I just want to reference that because I obviously didn't do it in the video itself, but I think that really testifies the point I was making. So it's disturbing reading, but I'm grateful for New Day for covering it. To New Day, I should say, for covering it. Another aspect I like about New Day, based on my very limited reading so far, is, I guess, to demonstrate their neutrality. What they have is opinioneers, so they'll have a contentious topical subject and they'll have two 50-50 points of view. Now, some of the tabloids do this, but this is done in a very, very obvious way. So, isn't it time women shut up about equality as the target question? Yasmin Alabi Brown argues no, Gemma Collins argues yes, or at least one is arguing in the pro feminist position, one is arguing against it. So, that's a truly neutral stance, and no one can accuse the paper of being biased because that couldn't get any. So I gave New Day credit for that. Incidentally, Yasmin Alibai's Brown's argument, in my opinion, is just a rant about victimhood, but that's my own opinion. Um, Whereas Gemma Collins is saying she's never felt that being a woman has held her back. Anyway, that's something I like about New Day. So I'm going to round this up pretty soon. Like every newspaper, they have the format of sports at the back. They have weather. Actually, the sports section is relatively limited. There's a lot of fact. I'm just looking. I'm not sure if there is even is a sports section, which would be unusual. There's a brief sports section, but I quite like the font. I quite like that turquoise font. That's quite original. So that is my review of the New Day. The market price is 50p. Sales so far, circulation 200,000. So it's quite similar to the Eye in that regard. Um, we'll see what happens, what sort of direction this takes. I'm quite optimistic about the approach that they're taking. It wouldn't be my number one choice because there's very, very minimal focus on international stories. But nevertheless, it's quite an interesting paper, and that is New Day.